I signed up for this race, the Buffalo Full Marathon, over 6 months ago, and I talked a lot about it. I'd done a lot of work, many runs over 2 hours, and a lot of early mornings. And it's safe to say I was incredibly excited, focused, and ready to push it about as hard as I could. And I did. But something about spring marathons is that you train kind of during the perfect temperatures, and then you get to race and you don't really know if it's going to be perfect. That was something I had thought about and thought I was prepared for, but I definitely learned some lessons, and there were a lot of opportunities for growth. If you know me, that's something I say often when basically shit hit the fan, and we just did the best we could out there.
If everyone can be seen, but it's a video, so great, everybody. We'll edit later.
I think you guys are gonna. It's gonna.
I'm very excited. No, I think it'll be great.
I'm excited to finish it.
Shit, can't win.
Like if we start off with this temperature, that'll be ideal. Like probably 60 degrees. 6:30.
There's a science to it.
It seems like the dots, it's like fucking grid paper.
I think Jeff knew I would. We go all the time.
I don't know how much, but... Cheers. It's go time, baby. We'll be in the back to school. Go to daddy, I'm not a fool. Got lunch packed up. My boots tied tight.
Looks like we got like a Pro Mist like filter on the lens. And these nice little. So nice.
6,000 strong Buffalo. The word is agile. They are
Jack Brash, Ray Begonia, Bill Hunt, Dave Archer,
Don't get carried away. First mile the slowest. Make the last one your fastest. This is when I'm gonna have the most energy all day. That's what I'm saying.
As the gun went off, honestly, energy was so high. We were so stoked, all the work that went into it. So much fun to be able to start the race with Cody and Sean. Sean running the full, Cody doing the half. Got some footage of all of us at the start. Great energy, huge crowd. Unfortunately, pretty warm for it already being 6:30 in the morning. But gun went off. Everybody was cheering. You know, it felt like it was a big, big energy. And the miles started flowing. You kind of head up north through Buffalo. I will call this the first leg, up and back. Basically, you know, you head up Delaware Avenue and you head back down. And, you know, mile 1, 8:49, mile 2, 8:32, 8:36, 8:45. Pretty much hung around there for the first, 6 miles or so as we went up through Buffalo and then back down, the same street, just separated by a divider. Kind of rolling hills. It's never really flat at this point. But I definitely noticed that it was constantly kind of a little bit of work on the quads. And I would say this is about the time where I was realizing, even, 5-6 miles in, the quads were starting to feel it. I was taking water and Gatorade at every aid station, even this early, just to be proactive about it. And I could tell I was sweating more than I probably should be or expected at this point in the race. So we kept kind of rolling. You come back down into, Buffalo, the downtown center where you start around mile 7. I got down to an 8:40, an 8:47 for mile 8, 8:48 for mile 9, 8:44 for mile 10. Those 3 miles were kind of, I would say, a little mysterious in terms of you turn away from the convention center downtown. I take my second gel after mile 8, and it's kind of this steady uphill as you head northwest, kind of with the water. You can't see it, you're in a neighborhood, but you're kind of moving with the water northwest, and you loop around the neighborhood, and you head back down southeast there. And this, I think, is kind of like where I was just getting really in my head. Mile 10, 11, still holding 8:30, 8:49 for mile 12. 13, 9-minute pace. I will say kind of 12, part of 12 is the end of going out on this pier. And there's literally a point where it's about maybe 2 people shoulder to shoulder going through. And in a race that has thousands, maybe you take some out for the 5K the day before. So let's say, there's at least 3,000-4,000 runners going through, shoulder to shoulder, basically at this one point. People who are running the half are really hyped up. They're getting close to the finish, and I'm just kind of like trying to survive. So yeah, I would say about that 13 halfway mark, I told myself, I think I reevaluated at one point. Oh, no, I did. Yeah. So my original plan of the 8:40s for the first 10 and then 8:30s for the second 10. You can tell that at mile 11, I tried to do that 8:32. That was the moment. Everything kind of like cracked off. It's not going to happen. And also mentally going through the halfway point was kind of like you're surrounded by people who are super hyped, and then it's just quiet. And all of a sudden you're only surrounded by a couple people, and you're like, oh, okay, this is what I signed up for. This is what's beyond the finish line of the halfway mark, like mentally. Thankfully, I did see Cody right after the halfway mark, and he'll come back later on as a main character in my ability to even complete this race. Yeah, he was a huge support system for me here and later on as well. So yeah, 13, 14, hanging around 9s, 15, 9.5, 16, 9:43, 17, 9:57, And, you know, right around mile 17, you're kind of headed back up north in Buffalo. You've left downtown, you've gone north, and you're just about to kind of enter the like main large park there, which is beautiful. It's a beautiful park. But that was kind of entering the park where I just hit this absolute, like, yeah, I mean, I hit the wall. You know, I hit the wall, but not, I would say, totally mentally. This was just like the quads had officially, both of them had totally cramped up. And the quads and the hammies were just like in the insides of my quads, kind of like my groin. They were just like seizing up. And I gotta say, knowing that you have 8 miles left in a race and things are feeling like, you know, if this was a training run, 100% would have called it at 17. That would have been it. I would have been calling for help at that point. So, you know, to give you an idea of where my head was at mile 18, it was everything's out the window, ABC goals, just started the progression of survival, you know, 11:30, 11:19, 11:50 for mile 20, 11:32 for mile 21, and then mile 22, you know, 13 minutes. Mile 23, 14 minutes. This was like honestly, this was me squatting on the sidewalk next to the course. People are passing me. I'm just staring at the pavement, convincing myself like, you have to finish. You have to get there. You're going to see people within a mile, your friends, your family. They're going to be waiting for you. They can't track you, so they're worried about you. And like we need to get up and get moving. So yeah, it was literally, you know, once you get out of the park, you're back in the neighborhoods. And it was like, get to that block. Okay, there's a kid up there with watermelon. Get to that piece of watermelon. Ice pop, I'm taking 2. You know, walk. There was definitely points where like even walking was like everything was cramping up. Like you couldn't even take a break and walk without still being in the same amount of pain, which was like, it was new for me in a long time. I'm not gonna lie, I have never cramped like this. And, you know, we can talk a bit more about takeaways as we get further in. But yeah, this just became such a battle for me that I have not gone through before. 23, I think about 23 and a half.
Honestly, if I didn't find these two, I would have quit right here.
No, come on, you can do it. You got it.
These 2 guys picked me up and literally, like emotionally, they saw me on the side and they were like, dude, you're coming with me. You're coming with us. And I was like, yes, fuck yes. Like, this is exactly what I needed. I was just so far in my head and kept like, you know, when you're in a race and people are like, oh, come on. Like they read your name. They're like, Kyle, like, keep your head up, man. Like you're doing great. Like keep moving. And like, honestly, those are actually okay for me, but it's the people who are like, you're looking good. Like, don't even say that to me. Like, you can't sit here and tell me I'm looking good, but that's just the negativity, you know, that's not being able to override, you know, the negative thoughts when it comes to just kind of being broken physically and then your emotions kind of following. But yeah, man, these 2 guys, they came rolling through. I think they were always going for sub 4:30 and they were right on track for like 4:20, 4:25, really just doing a mile at a time, a lot of pain. And I was like, yes, I can roll with these guys. Then we talked. God, we kept talking the whole time. I think that was the first thing, like I got moving with them. And the first thing I said was like, I don't care if you're the weirdest dudes on the planet, like just talk about anything right now. Like my brain is gone. I need you to entertain me and get my brain off the pain cycle that I am in. And we rocked. Like, honestly, like. I mean, we just kept rolling. Like, probably, yeah, that like, you know, 12:45, 12:01. And I would say like 12:01 for 25 miles, 26 was 11:36. I saw Cody, you know, mile 25 and a half. I'm cresting over out of the neighborhoods back into kind of the downtown area. And Cody's got his red BPN, Go One More, Sealy hat on. and I can see him so far off, and he sees me, and I can hear him, Kyle, come on, keep pushing, Kyle. And I just lean, like, I'm like, delirious. And I look over at the two guys and I'm like, that's my friend who ran the half. And I'm like, I'm going to Cody. So I pick up a tiny bit of pace, say good luck to the boys. And I see Cody, and he just joins me for easily probably almost a whole mile, 25.5 through probably 26 right before the actual finish line. And he was constant with me. I would say something totally negative, and he'd come back and just reinforce, how hard you worked, how much time you put in for this. Like, this is what we're about. Like, this is the pain cave. This is why we dig deep. You signed up for this knowing this could happen. And it was like exactly, I couldn't fight with it. It was just the amount of optimism, but like honest optimism that like, you just couldn't fight with it. I'm getting teary-eyed just thinking about it.
We got the runs. Time to run those relays. Great names. Bill Tooling from Beverly, Mass.
You were in the zone. I was on the other side. You ran past.
You did it.
You're so good. Yeah.
And then he let me go over the finish line by myself, and I see Emily and Cody's fiance, Sam, and she can tell, like, take a step back. Kyle's feeling he's on one. Yeah, and I just crossed the finish line, and my first thought was like, man, how did I mess that up so bad? And I was just so mad at myself. Honestly, that was only for about a minute, but my first thoughts were definitely like, I feel like someone coming out of like the delirium of running a marathon and then realizing like, oh man, what happened? Like, you can't even process it. And then you think about it for a bit and you're like, okay, like, things are adding up. It was a tough day. And I knew early on it was going to be a battle, but the finish was certainly an emotional roller coaster. It started as a huge physical roller coaster and then became definitely a beast of mentality. Yeah. Final time, 4 hours, 26 minutes and 33 seconds. I came in 702nd place. Yeah, I mean, you can just technically a 10:03 pace. I guess that was one of the positives, I'd say, of like after reflecting a bit and getting text messages from people. And I guess that's like the overarching of this, right? And I'll kind of hit home on that, I think, for the end. But like, I was texting people who were like 4.5 hours, like, that's a pretty good run. Like, you survived a marathon and you did it, average 10-minute pace. Like, some people can't run a couple miles at that. And, that gave me some perspective of like, I ran New York City 3 years ago and, it was about a 5-hour marathon. And I remember thinking like, oh, that was pretty smooth. Like, I didn't push it, but like it felt all right. And to know that like with all the training I've done this year, and to come back to the marathon distance, because it's been, 3 years, everything can go wrong. And I still did, about 35 minutes faster than that New York City marathon. It was way warmer. The humidity was up. And I honestly think the consistently rolling hills kind of cooked the quads early. And I just needed to be, I kept thinking like, I just wish I did maybe way harder workouts if this was how the day was going to be, but you can't predict that. I can learn from this. It is late May, so you can learn from that. But like overall, like one, I survived, a marathon for the first time in a while. I've done it 4 or 5 times, but this was the first time in a couple of years. And gotta say, like the community around it, family, friends, people in Buffalo, people who weren't in Buffalo, people who listen to the podcast, 100%. Only reason I got it done. Only reason. Those guys that picked me up, they didn't have to say anything to me. They didn't have to run with me. So yeah, that was like my overall takeaway is couldn't have done more and would have done less if it was only me. So yeah, that's the end of this training block. As I record this, I'm about 10 days out from actually running. So I've recovered quite a bit, but I'm not gonna lie, I still feel it in my quads, which I've never been this wrecked. To feel a workout 10 days after is like pretty wild. And yeah, things have just been wild, honestly, since then. We've been relocating our bedrooms. We swapped things out. This is not the same room I normally record in. I don't know if you could tell or not. I brought Daniel the plant in. He's pretty much the man. And yeah, we're in June. We're going to enjoy a bit of June and July, but I'm itching, kids. I am itching for more running. I'm itching for a hot summer. I want to train in the heat. I think I have a deeper appreciation for the heat, the humidity, and how much work I can do while it's hot and pick a race that is going to really time well with the temperatures coming down. And hopefully I can just stack, this fitness and the 325 didn't happen this time, far from it, but 100%, we're going to keep trying. We're going to push, and I'm pretty excited to see what we can do. So that's it. That's kind of my, Buffalo recap. Yeah, stay safe, enjoy your runs, and after a little bit of time off, I will see you in the next video. Peace, guys. Oh my God, I'm sweating. Didn't even show you the stinking metal.